Foley Trasimene, one of the larger SPACs out there, announces a deal to take Blackstone's Alight public this morning. It values the HR company at roughly $7.3 billion, although you see the market is already sending that a bit higher. Joining me now is Bill Foley. He's the founder and chairman of Foley Trasimene. And Stephan Scholl is the CEO of Alight. Gentlemen, thanks to you both for being here. Bill, let me start with you. I know you looked at hundreds of potential candidates for this SPAC, but you ended up going with a very similar blueprint for the last time we had you on, the PaySafe deal. Blackstone business, they roll in, a lot of the same pipe investors. Is there something in particular about Blackstone and what they own that you like?
Well, they're just a great partner to deal with, and they have a lot of interesting assets that they've acquired over the last several years or many years. And this particular asset was acquired about 4 years ago by Blackstone, a different division than PaySafe was located in, but a highly scalable company, ubiquitous, a real company, real revenue, real EBITDA, and it's a utility, which is what I look for. Something that's a key ingredient in the marketplace that is almost just can't be disintermediated. So that was the whole theory on the Alight. I really like the company a lot.
Yeah, you know, Bill, when I have Steve Schwartzman or John Gray on, they'll certainly tell me that they do a very good job managing their portfolio companies and get the margins up. And so I just wonder how much is left for improvement if they're right and they're doing such a good job in terms of overseeing the companies.
Well, of course, the private equity puts a lot of leverage on their businesses, and we're taking the leverage down on this company from about over 5 to 1 down to 3.1 to 1. So this gives the company a lot of ability to go out and make acquisitions, to do a little levering up to say 3.5 or 3.6 to 1. And this company is going through a transformation, moving from a bureau-based business or a services business to the cloud, similarly to what we did with Ceridian. And it's a very successful blueprint. And Stephan has actually moved, he's way ahead of me on this one. So it's terrific to partner with him. He's been involved in this transformation for 7 or 8 months. So I get a leg up. It's a fantastic situation.
Yeah, well, Stephan, tell me a bit about that then. In addition, obviously, to the deleveraging that Bill just mentioned, you'll be able to do as a result of the transaction. What else are you going to be able to do now that you're a public company that perhaps you were unable to when you were, as a private company?
Well, thanks, David, and really a pleasure to be with you today. And having Bill Foley aligned with me as an investor, along with Blackstone, really takes us to the next phase of what we're going after. And our mission is a simple one. We're very aligned on the fact that we have to help employees today, really with two of the most important things in their life, which is help them be financially secure and help them make the right healthcare decisions. And you've talked a lot about this already, you know, on your segments, where a lot of employees, half of them, in fact, feel they've made a wrong decision on health benefits. 60% can't retire when they want to. So in the last year, we've launched for the first time in the market a true enterprise employee engagement platform. And it brings together the data from payroll, health, wealth, and wellness, and really allows us to bring the most complete cloud-based AI solution so we can go back to employers, give them the data. And many of my customers today, as Bill said, we serve 72 of the Fortune 100, half of the Fortune 500 already. So they're spending billions, David, and they need help to make sure that we give them the data from clients, from the employees, so that they invest the proper funds into the products. And then on the employee side, we take all this complexity. I mean, everybody knows 401k, HSA is super complicated. Yep. And by taking this engagement platform, personalizing it specifically to the employee allows us to really help an employee make the right decisions around investing in 401k and putting the right amount of money into HSAs.
You have some fairly aggressive growth targets, revenue growth 6% today, 10% is the long-term hope there. You want to get your revenue per employee up from $175,000 to $250,000 per employee, and your adjusted EBITDA margins up to as much as 30+% from where they are right now at roughly 20+%. What gives you the confidence, Stephan, that you're going to be able to do that?
Well, listen, we already come from a great base. The customers that we serve are taking 5-year digital roadmaps and bringing them down into the next year to 2 years. And we're right at the center of the most complete set of data because we already have served these clients for 15, 20, in some cases 25 years. And they're coming to us to really help them take this data set. So we've launched this thing in July, David, and we've created billions of dollars of new pipeline already towards these new offerings. And the best part is what we've done is, I think, unique in the market. is we put an ROI guarantee. So we're going to the CFO, we're going to the CHRO and the C-suite and saying, listen, you're spending billions on these massive budgets for healthcare, example, and they're going at 10, 15% double-digit rates every year. And we're saying we're going to underwrite to helping you save money against those budgets. And that's going to bring already, we've seen in key deals, 1.5 times revenue uplift on some of the deals that we've closed in July to December.
Stephan, it's Morgan. You just mentioned 401ks and HSAs, but I want to dig in a little bit more. I mean, you're serving, what, more than 30 million people and their families, according to the notes I have here. What specifically do employees want from companies? I guess I'm wondering whether COVID has actually changed the demands and the needs of those employees and what they're seeking out.
Yeah, listen, just one example, one of the Fortune 20 companies who spent $3 billion and built 22 new programs because of the pandemic. And the complexity around the programs, none of the employees took most of those programs. And so they ended up at the end of the annual enrollment period, which you know is at the end of the fall season, and 45% of the employees making less than $40,000 a year didn't have a healthcare program. Now, this is a company that's one of the biggest in America, and the reason was because they didn't get the right information back. These 22 programs were done in a vacuum through consultants without the feedback from employees. And that's what we're bringing to the table. We're translating specifically that people do want to save. People are over saving in HSAs and not putting enough money into 401ks. And that's the data set that we're now bringing together to go back to these companies, because companies are spending enough money. It's just putting it into the right products. And then the second part is it's going to the employee and making sure that you bring specificity to their history. We really, taking 22 programs and launching them to all employees doesn't get you there. It's being very specific to the individual needs of that person that's going to make this thing a much more success going into next year's annual enrollment.
Yeah, and just to shift gears a little bit, Bill, we've had a couple of reports out in the last couple of days from Wall Street. I'm looking at one from Goldman Sachs and David Kostin and his team, pointing to froth in the market and specifically calling out SPACs as one area of that. I mean, you've launched 4 SPACs. I wonder how you see it.
Well, a lot of us do business differently. In my particular case, I'm a value investor, always have been. And the SPAC is a vehicle to allow a private equity or a sponsor to access the public markets expeditiously. But as I mentioned earlier, we look for real companies with real revenue and real EBITDA that are utilities. They're fortresses with a moat. So the market is hot right now, but we're very conservative in the fashion in which we investigate and look for companies to partner with. And so I believe we're a little unique in our approach to the marketplace.
Well, investors seem to agree, but I do wonder, is it getting more competitive? Are you finding fewer opportunities, though, Bill, given your value orientation at this point and so much money chasing these deals?
We still have a lot of different targets. We've now deployed on 2 of our 3 SPACs. The third one we're working very hard on. We've had a lot of opportunities, and they're value type investment opportunities. We also have great contacts in the financial sponsor community. It so happens these first 2 transactions were done with Blackstone, but we've been dealing with many financial sponsors, and they recognize that we bring a little different playbook to the table when we acquire a company. And we're very rigorous and diligent about the way we investigate the companies and the management we partner with and the types of companies we are really looking at. So I feel like we're just a little unique.
Yeah. Well, your last deal, of course, PaySafe has done very well since you announced that deal not to be closed. Bill, you mentioned acquisitions. I didn't get this to you last time, but I wanted to, which is CoreLogic. You made a bid for that company in the, let's call it, into the high 60s. They then went to auction mode. They're very close, it would seem, at least, to potentially having a deal, although we will see. But you've sold most of your stock. Why?
We once it was clear that we were not going to be able to acquire the company, we felt like we did a good job in terms of putting some new directors on that would give the company a little different focus. But we just aren't in the business of paying up to the level that the company was looking for. So when that happened, we made a public announcement and we said we were going to start moving out of the stock. And we still have some shares, but as time goes on, we'll be disposing of that stock. It just at this point, at that level, it just wasn't the right investment for us. So again, we're value people, and we try and be conservative in the way we look at different businesses. And CoreLogic's a good example.
So, yeah, but when you, with that value orientation again, when you look at the broader market right now, in particular technology, and obviously you are dealing a lot in that area and the businesses you're dealing with in terms of even here, moving to the cloud, are you surprised at some of the valuations that are in the public markets right now?
I am a little surprised. They've kind of moved away from where we traditionally invest, but there always are opportunities. And as I mentioned, the SPAC is an interesting way for a financial sponsor to access the public markets, take some money off the table, roll a good piece of their investment, and be our partners going forward. So we're still seeing opportunities. There's still value in the marketplace. You just have to really be careful and really look hard and long and go deep into the business.
Yeah, and I know the sponsors are certainly embracing that opportunity. Finally, we keep saying you're the Golden Knights owner, so I just want to ask, how's the hockey season going? You know, what are your expectations for getting fans potentially in the seats or getting vaccinations for all your players? Give me a feel for the season ahead here, Bill.
Well, we're doing well. We're 5-1. We just won last night. We beat Arizona 1-0. The state of Nevada, the pandemic has kind of moved over the top of the curve, and we're hopeful that we'll get 10 to 15% occupancy in our arena around the middle of February. And we'll see. It's up to the governor, but we feel like we're making the right moves with the pandemic and getting the vaccinations out. And we're very confident in our team. It takes a lot of puck luck to go all the way to the Stanley Cup, but we have a good team.
Well, Bill, we got to hockey this time in addition to other things. Next time, we're going to get to my favorite subject, wine. And we're going to talk about Foley wines. But Bill Foley, Stephan Scholl, thanks to you both for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Pleasure.